everyone, I'm Ari here with Rachel, and we're your hosts for the Merry Writer podcast. This week we're on episode 313, asking when should you hire a professional editor? Before we start, don't forget to visit and follow our coffee page. You can access lots of free goodies, and if you're in a position to support us financially, you can become a Merry Writer for just $2 a month. This gets you access to exclusive monthly content. Everything earned on coffee goes into keeping the show going, and we really do appreciate any support. Okay, so we're back with talking about editing and editors. I feel like we do this a lot, but it might be because we're recording all these episodes together. So we're talking about when should you be hiring a professional editor? If you are just a hobby writer and you have no real interest in publishing your work or publishing your work to be picked up by lots of people, then you might not want to hire an editor. I mean, if you're going to publish it, you probably still want to hire somebody to do something to help out. But if you want to do it, if you want to make your writing a professional thing, if you want to do career writing or you want it to be the best it can be, you need to hire an editor. But when do you do that? And it is a little bit difficult because you can, especially if you're one of these people that get stuck in a rut with like constantly editing, like me. So first of all, you need to finish your edits. So the book needs to be finished and you need to have done a couple of passes at minimum going through it. And to do that, you want to be looking at edits that you can do. So obviously a professional editor will do things like a dev edit, a copy edit, a line edit, proofread, things like that. You should be doing those too. You should be reading your manuscript and looking at structure and pacing and plot. You should be making sure that all the questions you have and all the threads you've got through that manuscript are answered to the best of your ability. Obviously, you don't want to make everything so clear and your readers do need to be able to kind of infer from some of what you're writing. And obviously, if you're writing a sequel and you need to leave some threads open, have some cliffhangers, that's fine too. But I think mainly it should be when you've done as many edits as possible where you feel like the book is, you feel like the manuscript is at a really strong place. Then you should be throwing an alpha reader. An alpha reader is usually the person who gets it probably before it gets as polished as you can do it. And they're going to look at it when it's kind of a bit messier and they're going to tell you all the things wrong with it. That's really helpful. Painful, but helpful. You take that information, you fix it, if it's good information. They might be terrible, who knows? And then more edits, and then you want some betas. And the reason we say betas before you go to a professional editor is because a beta is going to be someone who's like your actual audience. So you want someone who's a reader, you want someone who reads that genre. And this is why if you're going to pick a beta, don't just pick from the group of people that you know, your friends and everything, unless they are actually your audience. Because I've seen that where people have like reached out. I've had people reach out to me going like, hey, do you want to be my beta? And it's like, I don't read like middle grade. I would be a terrible beta. I might be able to catch spelling errors. I might be able to catch pacing, but you want someone who's going to enjoy the story as well and read it as a reader of, who's going to be your actual audience. So definitely pick a couple of betas that you trust to read through it first and that read that genre. Do you have anything to add while I get my head together?
No, I have kind of like a devil's advocate point, so you can keep going.
The reason you want to go through betas before a professional edit is, I think we mentioned this in one of the other episodes, is your professional editor, you're going to be paying them and you're going to pay them a lot. It's probably one of the biggest costs that come for an author is editor. I think after that is like cover designer. So you want to try and reduce that cost as much as possible. And since you can't go around expecting everyone to offer you discounts or give you a cheap rate, the best thing to do is to reduce the amount that they have to do. So if your alpha and your betas can come back and give you suggestions on things that can be fixed, that your editor will hopefully not have to then catch. If you can reduce your word count, because maybe if you're an overwriter, you can cut that down. Again, betas can really help you with that. That will also help the cost. Although if you are an underwriter, you might have to actually add more, which will put your cost up. But you know what? It's swings and roundabouts. You just got to go with it sometime. In regards to betas, I would personally recommend probably in this round, no more than like 2-4 betas. I don't think you want like a massive team of betas at the beginning. And then Again, you put their feedback in, have another read through, see what you can find. And then what you're looking at is you want your manuscript to be as good as you feel you can get it on your own, with a caveat of don't get stuck. Because it is hard. If you have any form of perfectionism, which I don't know any writer who doesn't have perfectionism, or if you have imposter syndrome, you might never feel that it's going to get as good as it's going to get. So you have to create your own line. You have to put your own barrier in and say, okay, I've not made any big changes. Every change I've made has been little piddly change. That's it. It's going to professional editor. You can't wait till it's perfect, because what's the point of the editor then? And also, you could be spending a lot of time making a lot of changes, and then they're going to come in and go, oh, all this is terrible. Fingers crossed that they don't. And I do say this as someone who did an earlier episode where I talked about how many drafts I did, and it was a lot. So I know what I'm talking about because I'm that sort of person. I think the last thing, if you wanted to do, you could do like your own line edit, going through bit by bit, or a copy edit, and just kind of do that. You might even want to run it through like Grammarly or Pro Writing It if you want to do that, if you want to put it through something that will maybe catch passive voice. Because I don't know about you, but I am terrible with passive voice. I think I do that a lot. Although I do actually like some passive voice. Is that really weird that sometimes the passive voice works? Kind of like that.
I feel like sometimes you need it.
Yes, it's like the show don't tell. It's like you should show on a lot of things, but there's sometimes where you just want to say that the car is a Cadillac. You don't need to describe the Cadillac. Just tell them it's a Cadillac, and then you get an image of, okay, it's a Cadillac, it's big and bulky, and apparently it's a kind of, is it a luxury car? Is the Cadillac still considered a luxury car? I don't know. Rachel doesn't know either. We don't know. But yeah, same thing. So I think sometimes the passive voice can work. You just don't want the entire manuscript to be passive voice. So yeah, that's when I would think it'd be good to hire an editor. And honestly, while you're doing your edits, get out there and start researching editors. You don't want to just go rushing at the first one, especially, oh, this one's cheap, I'll do that, or this one's got space. Don't do that. You need to do research on editors. Again, I think we've talked about hiring an editor. Yeah, I think we did. I will link it if we have actually done that episode. I can't remember. Probably did it last week as well when we recorded it.
Oh, we did it, wait for it. We did it episode. Nope, I lied. Episode 309 was how do you know when your draft is complete? Pretty sure we did. And we did 307 was how many edits do you do before sending it to an
Oh,
editor?
it was 305.
I was getting there. 305. What should you consider when picking an editor? If you guys couldn't tell, we're in the middle of editing both of our books. That's why we're talking about editing so much.
Yeah, it's like this whole year has just been about editors, editors, editors. Yeah, we'll have a playlist just for editing, or we do have a playlist just for editing to help you out if you need it. But yeah, so we did talk about when to do that. And honestly, it's a good idea to research editors before you need an editor, because a lot of editors book out in advance. So sometimes you need to, like, it's not like, oh, I finished my manuscript, the editor's going to be right there. It's like, no, it might be months. You might find a really good one, you might get some recommendations, and it could be months before you can fit in. So feel free to start, putting feelers out for editors before you need an editor. And I say that as someone who has now booked my editor for the end of 2026 for a manuscript that's not fully written yet. Because I work better with pressure, apparently.
Hey, the earlier the better, because again, you don't know what their schedule is like. You don't know how busy they're going to be. And also, if you book an editor as early as possible, even if the manuscript's not written yet, that gives yourself a deadline. So you can't really take your time with, I mean, obviously you want to take your time, but you can't really, it adds that little extra pressure for you to focus more on it and get it done. And it kind of forces you to push that perfectionism and imposter syndrome out of the way because you're like, I gotta get this done for the editor. So I agree with that. However, for the sake of this episode, I am going to play devil's advocate just a little bit because what in the world are we talking about? When should you hire a professional editor? Yeah, I did not do that. And I know that goes against absolutely everything that we've ever talked about on this show. But when
It
I
does,
did
yeah.
apparitions and Yeah, oh yeah, I know. We always say don't listen to us, or I say don't listen to us. Ari doesn't. When I was doing Apparitions Anonymous and Happily Ever Afterlife, I hired a proofreader and that's it. I did not go through the developmental pro I did not go through the developmental editing process or the copy editing or any of that stuff. I just did proofreading because of the nature of my books. They're short story collections. There's no huge plot line. I mean, there is a little bit of a plot and there is character development, but it's so small. There's not many characters. All of the characters other than the Grim Reaper are nameless. So it felt silly to me to pay for a developmental editor and have somebody try to deep dive into the characters and into the world, which is a void. And it just doesn't make sense to do that. So I just had the proofreader and that was it because that was what was best for the nature of my books. So that's something else too. Obviously, we say you should hire a professional editor and you should get other eyes on it, beta readers, alpha readers, whatever. But depending on what you're writing and what your ultimate goals are, sometimes you may not need every single step of the editing process.
I actually do agree with that. Every author does not have to have all three edits. Some may find it better to have like a dev edit and a line edit, or a line and copy edit and a proofread, or as Rachel said with hers, with just a proofread. But even that, even with the way your story was, the fact it's short stories, the fact your world building is minimal in a sense, there is world building in it because it is the void and there is some description to how that, and there's an inference of what's to come and everything. So there is world building, but it's very light at the background because it's not the main focus of the stories. It's the emotional connections of these people who have passed away and their stories and their emotions in it. That's kind of a stronger suit. So yeah, you're right. You don't need a deep dive into a light world building. But the fact is, you still got a proofreader. You still paid for a professional to look through it and give you something. So even with a smaller book with a like a void concept, so there isn't that kind of the depth that I said, like the characters, your character development wasn't intense because again, it's these interviews where they're not even named, and yet there was still a connection with them, which I really liked. But so you didn't need like character arc because there wasn't these overarching concepts that would go through the books and everything. But even then, you still went and you got a proofreader. And am I right? Did you get beta readers? Did you have some beta readers read it as well?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. I was surprised at that.
No.
That's kind of good because she didn't ask me, and I would have been very upset that she didn't ask me if she asked other people. So I'm actually okay
No,
with that.
I thought about it, but it was kind of one of those accidental books. I mean, because I'm still not like I have ever since I had decided that I do not want to be a full-time author, I've actually put more work and effort into my books now more than ever, which is ironic. And at the time when I published Apparitions Anonymous, I was like, I just want to get these stories out there because I enjoyed writing them and it came from the heart and I just wanted to get them out there. So I went through the motions and then I had the stupid idea to have Happily Ever Afterlife come out a year after. And that was a bit of a time crunch. So I if I had gotten beta readers for that, I it would not have come out in October of 2025.
Exactly, that's true. I can appreciate that. But as I said, like the way your stories are, because they're short stories, and because let's be honest, you've been writing short stories for ages. You put them on your blog. You've had feedback from people on your blog, so it's not like this is your first rodeo. It's not the first book you've published. It's not the first time you've been writing. You've been writing for a very long time, and you do gain a lot of experience the more you write. And honestly, it worked very well for your book with just having the proofreader. If you are writing a bigger book, if you are writing multiple characters or even just one character and they're very detailed, you're going to need professional editors. If you've got world building, it's a good idea to have professional editors. And I'm going to circle back round to something I said, where I said how I have booked my editor for the end of 2026. And when I say end, I'm in August, which is not actually the end, and it's giving me a little bit of panic. However, please be aware that I didn't do that with like zero idea. I already have an mostly outline of that book, and I have over 60,000 words written because I write in pieces. And obviously, it's book 2 to a series. So I wasn't going to be like, hey, I'm going to book an editor and get ready to pay thousands without a book even a little bit ready. So yeah, don't just be like, I'm going to book an editor without a book written or outlined or anything. Don't do that. That's a bit too much. I don't want anyone thinking I'm suggesting that you should just book an editor and start being ready to pay thousands for a book you haven't written. Don't do that. That's not what
Yeah, I was just gonna say my next project is a novel, so I will be going through the developmental process and all of that fun stuff and probably get a team of beta readers if I can, because I gotta be honest, it's very difficult to find cozy mystery writers in a sea of like fantasy and romantasy and erotica and things like that. So that's another reason why I don't normally get beta readers because a lot of the writers I know do not write in the same genre as me. And I'm not saying that you have to have beta readers that write in the same genre as you, but it's good to have like one or two that know what it's like to write a cozy mystery or even just a murder mystery and all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, if you know any cozy mystery writers, hit me up. Just throwing that out there.
but you at least want some cozy mystery readers. And I do read cozy mystery. And I do watch cozy mystery movies and TV shows. So
Oh, yes, I'll be asking you when the time comes.
good. But yeah, so it is hard. That's one of the reasons I like my editor is because she actually runs the beta team for me, so I don't have to do that. She has a group of people that she reaches out to, and then she puts out like word, and she handles all the mess of betas. I handle the first set of betas because they're the people I reach out to before I go to my editor, but then the rest of it is just like it's so much work. And I know I sound really lazy right now, but it's like the amount of stuff outside of the physical writing and even the physical editing is so tiring. There's so much work. So if you can farm that out to someone, that's a good idea. I'm just gonna say it. It's so you can't even use tags anymore in Instagram. So could you look up like cozy mystery writer, cozy mystery reader? Would you even get anyone because the tags don't work the way they used to? So it's a bit shit.
I think I just need to be better at talking to people because I am horrible when it comes to engaging on social media and stuff.
It is hard though. It is hard to connect. Although I think we had either have done, and I said this as because we're recording in random order, or we will be doing one about networking for authors. I think we will be doing it. I don't think we've done it yet. I don't know.
Are we?
I'm just gonna check that. I'm sure one of them is.
I have no memory of this.
I think it's one of mine. I think when I had my mad moment and came up with a load of ideas, I think it was one of those. I'm sure I've got an episode about networking. Yeah, 321. Look out for that. 321. We're talking about networking for writers. If I can think of what my thoughts were when I first came up with that idea. We're tied in now. I've said it, we're tied
That
in.
won't be until May.
Oh,
Wow.
really? Well, we're recording this in September 2025, so it means nothing.
That is true. That is true. That's why when you said that you booked your editor in August 2020 for August 2026, I was laughing because it is, where are we? We're on three. It's the end of March by the time this episode goes out. So like you have like 4 or 5 months left.
Yeah, so which is good because if I would have recorded this in March 2026, I'd probably be crying about how much I still have to write and how panicked I am that I'm not going to get it done in time to give to my editor that I've already booked. But I do like it. I like having the external pressure of not wanting to disappoint somebody else. I need external pressure.
Yes, yeah. No, I get that. I got nothing else to add.
Yeah, I know this is a quite a shortish episode, and I say ish because we're probably going to overrun anyway. But yeah, I think the basics are make sure you do a decent number of edits that you feel comfortable that you've answered all the questions, you've explained your characters, and you have decent pacing. Make sure you have other people have a look at it, people you trust. Get a few quick betas to get some reader perspective, get an alpha to get their input, and get to the point where you feel comfortable. And if you're one of those people that struggle and never think you're going to let it go, that was me, ask your writing community, speak to your writing community, speak to your betas, ask them their thoughts. They might be like, yeah, why are you still holding on to it? Because that's what happened with me. I was constantly editing and I kept getting people just saying, seriously, you need to stop editing and contact an editor and send it to an editor. And I had them yelling at me to stop me from spiraling into it just needs another few commas. It needs another few word choices. I need to keep putting the same semicolon in and out. So yeah, so sometimes you do somebody outside to tell you to send it. I hope that helps. And if it doesn't, well, welcome to the Mary Writer podcast. So you probably don't help that much. Okay, with that said, let's just end this. We want to hear from you. Definitely better than listening to us. So for all those authors who have been published and who have used editors, when do you hire your professional editor? What point do you feel like, yes, it's ready for a professional editor? Let's get some different perspectives, probably completely different from us. Let's chat about it in the comments, so drop them down. Remember, we do release new episodes every Wednesday. Next week, we're interviewing a special guest. To ensure you don't miss it, hit the subscribe button on your way out. If you'd like to learn more about us, check out our website, the Mary Writer Podcast at podbean.com, and our coffee page for more content. Thanks for listening to the Mary Writer Podcast. We will see you next week. This podcast is brought to you by Scraps of Paper. We have notes everywhere. The music titled Inspired is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.